The stranger in the smoke. The sky above Outpost 47 was dark and full of ash. A distant forest fire had been burning for days, filling the air with thick smoke. Guards at the gates stood with rifles, bored and tired. Until a shadow appeared in the haze. At first, they thought it was a ghost. Then they saw her clearly, an alien woman, thin and weak. Holding the hands of two small children, her skin was light blue, and her long white hair was dirty and tangled. The children looked half-starved, their clothes torn and eyes full of fear. "Please," the alien woman said in a soft, shaking voice, "I must speak to Captain Raynor." The guards raised their weapons, confused and alert. "No aliens allowed past this point," one guard said. "Turn around." But the woman fell to her knees, her arms around her children. "Please, I beg you," she said again. "He's the only one who can help us." One of the children, a little boy, stepped forward. "Please don't hurt my mama," he said. The guards exchanged nervous glances, unsure what to do. Someone ran to fetch the captain. Raynor was in his small home at the edge of the colony, sharpening a knife when the soldier told him there was an alien woman asking for him by name. He froze. He hadn't seen an alien face since the war ended 5 years ago. Now one was at his gate. Begging, with children, Raynor walked to the gate slowly, hand near his pistol, when he saw her. He felt something strange. She looked broken, like she had walked through hell just to reach him. He didn't know her face, but there was pain in her eyes. The children clung to her legs as she looked up at him. "Captain Raynor," she said. "You don't know me, but I know you." Raynor frowned. "Who are you?" "My name is Lyra," she said. "I'm the widow of Commander Tarek." Raynor's eyes narrowed. Tarek was an enemy soldier. He was. She nodded, but he once said, "You showed him mercy on the battlefield. You spared his life." Raynor stayed silent, remembering a battle in the red sands. He had left an alien soldier bleeding, but alive, because he saw something human in his eyes. "That was a long time ago," Raynor said. "He's dead now." Lyra whispered, "Killed by raiders, trying to protect us." The children started to cry, and Lyra held them close. "We've been running for weeks, hiding, stealing food," she said. "I came here because you were the only name he gave me before he died." "Why?" Raynor asked. "What do you want from me?" She looked him in the eyes, and for a moment, the world went quiet. "I want you to take me as your wife," she said. The guards gasped. One even laughed. But Raynor didn't move. "You must be out of your mind," he said. "I know how it sounds." Lyra said quickly, "But in my culture, a widow without a mate is hunted, used, or sold. My children will not survive unless someone powerful protects us." Raynor looked at the small faces staring at him. The boy looked brave, but his lip trembled. The girl had a broken doll in her hand, and her eyes were too tired for her. "Age, I have nothing to give you," Raynor said slowly. Lyra shook her head. "I have something to offer. Something my husband hid before he died. Something valuable to humans." That made Raynor pause. "What is it?" he asked. "Not here," she said. "Too many years, too much danger." Behind them, the smoke thickened, and far off in the trees, a dark figure watched through a scope. The figure whispered into a device. "The widow has made contact. Prepare for extraction." Raynor didn't know about the danger coming. He only knew that this woman had risked everything to find him, that she carried 2 lives in her arms, and something heavy in her heart. "Come with me," he finally said, turning to lead her inside the colony. The guards didn't stop her. This time, as the gates closed behind them, the smoke swallowed the forest once again, but Raynor felt something cold in the air. This was not just a widow asking for help. This was the beginning of something much bigger, and he had just stepped into the center of it. The small room Raynor gave them was quiet but cold. Lyra placed her children on the old metal bed and wrapped them in a faded blanket. Raynor stood near the door, arms crossed, watching silently. He wasn't used to company, especially not alien. Company. His house had always been empty, just like his life since the war. "I'll sleep on the floor," Lyra said, her voice tired but strong. Raynor didn't answer right away. His eyes were focused on the kids. They're not like other alien children. He finally said, "They've seen more pain than most soldiers," Lyra replied, sitting beside them. "They lost their father, their home, and their safety." Raynor walked to the small kitchen, poured water into 2 metal cups. He handed one to Lyra, who nodded in thanks. "You said you had something to offer," he said, sitting across from her. Lyra looked around, then reached into a pouch tied at her waist. She pulled out a small black box with glowing blue lines. Raynor leaned forward, curious. "What is it?" "A memory core," Lyra said. "My husband was working on a secret project for the High Command." Before the war ended, Raynor's eyes narrowed. "Military tech." Lyra nodded slowly. He believed it could change everything: energy, travel, communication, even peace. He gave it to me before he died. Said never to let it fall into the wrong hands. Raynor stared at the box, then at Lyra. "And now you want to trade it for marriage." "I want protection," she said. "I want a chance for my children to grow up without fear." "You're asking a lot," Raynor said. "Marriage isn't a game in my culture." "It's a shield," Lyra replied. "You don't have to love me, just stand with me." Raynor stood up and walked to the window. Outside, people were watching, whispering, judging. "People here won't understand," he said. "They already think I'm strange. They'll think worse of you if I stay without reason," Lyra said quietly. "A human man and a widow alien living under one roof. It will bring trouble." Raynor turned to face her, his voice calm. "I'm not afraid of gossip, but are you afraid of what I might bring with me?" Lyra asked. Raynor didn't answer, but he remembered the strange sound he heard last night, a low hum in the forest, too mechanical to be natural. He remembered the feeling of being watched. Later that night, Raynor checked the gates himself. He found fresh footprints in the dirt near the outer fence, too large to be from a child, too heavy to be from Lyra. Someone had been out there, close enough to listen, maybe close enough to strike. The next morning, news spread across the colony. Raynor's taken in an alien. People whispered, some were angry, some curious, a few even afraid. A trader named Holt approached Raynor in the market, his voice low. "You know what? You're doing right. She could be marked." "Marked? For what?" Raynor asked. "For death," Holt replied. "There's bounty hunters looking for a blue-skinned widow carrying tech. The kind that makes men rich or dead." Raynor didn't react, but inside, the warning sank deep. That night, he cleaned his old rifle and placed it near the door. Lyra noticed, but didn't ask. The children had drawn something with chalk on the floor, a picture of their father. Their new home, and Raynor holding their hands, it struck something inside him. Something soft he thought was long gone. He sat with Lyra after the kids were asleep. "You're in danger," he said. "Staying here may bring harm to this colony." Lyra looked at the stars through the window. "I have nowhere else to go," she said. "But I'll leave if you ask me to." Raynor shook his head. "I don't run from problems. I fix them." Suddenly, a sharp beep came from the black box. Lyra grabbed it quickly, her eyes wide. "What is it?" Raynor asked. "It's active," she whispered. "Someone is trying to locate it." She opened the device, and a flickering blue map appeared in the air. Coordinates flashed. Then a symbol, a triangle with a burning star. Raynor's eyes darkened. "I've seen that symbol," he said. "It belongs to the Crimson Vultures." Lyra froze. "They're slave hunters, and now they're coming," Raynor said, grabbing his rifle. "Why?" "Because you have something they want." He looked at her. Then at the children sleeping peacefully. "From now on," he said, "you're under my protection." Lyra looked up at him, her voice soft but firm. "Does that mean?" You accept my proposal?" Raynor nodded once. "We'll talk about the marriage later," he said. "Right now, we prepare for war, and outside, far beyond the colony." Red eyes blinked in the dark, watching, waiting, ready to strike. Captain Raynor hadn't slept all night. The black box sat on his table. Still glowing, still pulsing, like it had a heartbeat of its own. Lyra watched from the corner of the room, holding her daughter close while her son slept near the fire. They were safe for now, but Raynor knew safety was only an illusion. What's really inside this box? He asked her without looking. Lyra spoke softly. "Memories, codes, secrets from before the war. Your husband worked on this." She nodded. "Yes, but not alone. He had help from someone on your side." Raynor turned his head slowly. "From a human?" "Yes," she said. "Someone high-ranking, someone powerful that made Raynor uneasy. He had served under many commanders, and not all of them were honorable. Why would a human officer help an alien engineer build something like this?" Lyra looked at him with tired eyes, because they wanted peace. Even during the war, Raynor picked up the device. It buzzed in his hand like it recognized him. A strange symbol glowed on the side of star with a slash through it. He had seen that before, long ago, during a rescue mission deep behind enemy lines. But the mission report had been sealed, classified, and buried. He turned to Lyra. "There's something you're not telling me," she hesitated. Then reached into her satchel and pulled out an old photo. It was worn, almost torn, but still clear. Raynor took it and stared. It showed a group of soldiers, both human and alien, standing together in a cave. Among them was Tarek, Lyra's late husband, and right beside him was a younger Raynor. He felt the blood drain from his face. This isn't possible," he whispered. "You were there," Lyra said gently. "You helped them hide it." Raynor shook his head. "I don't remember this. You do," she said. "You just locked it away." Suddenly, the memory hit him like a storm. A secret operation, a broken truce, and a hidden lab buried in the rocks. He had been ordered to wipe it out, but he didn't. He had seen the children inside. The families, the scientists. Instead of killing them, he destroyed the cum logs and walked away. He had never spoken of it again until now. Lyra's voice pulled him back. "Tarek said you were the only human he trusted." Raynor stared at the photo. "If this gets out, both sides will turn against us." "I know," she said. "That's why we must be careful." Suddenly, there was a sharp knock on the door. Raynor grabbed his rifle and moved to the side. Motioning for Lyra to stay quiet, he opened the door slightly and saw Holt, the traitor, standing with a serious look. "We need to talk," Holt whispered. Now, Raynor stepped outside, closing the door behind him. "What is it?" "There's a man in the tavern asking questions. Tall cyberarm, one red eye. Says he's looking for a woman with a precious gift." Raynor's jaw clenched. "Bounty hunter." "Looks like it," Holt said. "And he's not alone." Raynor looked back at his house, where Lyra and the children waited. "He found us fast. Maybe someone told him," Holt said. "You can't trust everyone here." Raynor nodded, his mind already moving. He returned to the house and packed a small bag with food, water, and weapons. Lyra watched him with worry. "We have to leave soon," Raynor said. "But first, I need answers." He took the black box and walked toward the old bunker near the colony's edge. It was abandoned after the war, filled with rusted tech and forgotten files. If the box came from there, it might still respond to the systems inside. The door creaked as Raynor stepped in, the lights flickering on, one by one. He placed the memory core on a scanner pad, and the room suddenly lit up in blue light. A voice echoed through the walls. "Identity confirmed. Captain Elias Raynor." Lyra gasped. "It knows you." Raynor stared at the hologram forming before them, a map, stars, coordinates, and then A message. It was Tarek's voice, recorded before his death. If you are hearing this. The voice said, I am gone, and my family is in danger. The ones who want this device will burn planets to get it. But there is one man I trust with their lives, Captain Raynor. Protect them, and you will find something. Greater than war. The message faded, and silence filled the room. Raynor looked at Lyra. A tear had tears in her eyes. Your husband? Trusted me more than I trusted myself, he said. Lyra touched the side of his hand. Now you understand why I came? Outside, the sound of engines roared in the distance. The bounty hunter had found them. Raynor picked up the core and slung his rifle over his shoulder. We're not running anymore, he said. We're fighting for the truth. And from the shadows beyond the hills, red eyes watched as a signal was sent. The hunt had truly begun. Midnight came quietly to Outpost 47. The wind had stilled. The stars above seemed frozen in place. But Raynor couldn't sleep. He sat outside his house with his rifle across his lap. Watching the dark horizon, inside, Lyra lay beside her children, holding them close. She hadn't closed her eyes all night. Her senses were sharp, trained by fear. She knew what silence like this meant. Something was coming. Suddenly, Raynor saw it. A faint flicker of movement on the ridge, almost like a shadow shifting. Then another flash, lower this time. Near the generator tower, Raynor stood up slowly. They're here, he whispered. He opened the door and looked at Lyra. Wake the kids, quietly. We need to go, Lyra's heart skipped, but she didn't panic. She gently shook the children awake and wrapped them in cloaks. Raynor grabbed a small bag packed with emergency supplies. They moved toward the back of the house. But it was too late. A sudden explosion rocked the colony. Flames burst into the sky as the generator tower lit up in fire. Screams filled the night. Alarms rang out. And chaos began. A red flare rose into the air. Someone had marked their location. Raynor pulled Lyra and the kids behind the storage crates. They're not just after the device, he said. They're after you. From the shadows, armored figures appeared. Red visors, black suits, moving like ghosts with rifles in hand. Bounty hunters, and not the cheap kind. These were Crimson Vulture's lead hunters, known for never failing a job. Raynor took a deep breath, aimed his rifle, and fired. One hunter dropped instantly. The others scattered. Go. He shouted to Lyra, get to the bunker. Lyra grabbed the children and ran through the smoke. Staying low, Raynor covered them, firing shot after shot. He ducked behind cover as plasma bolts sizzled past his head. Suddenly, a hunter landed in front of him. Blades out, Raynor fought back hand to hand, blocking strikes, grabbing the blade, and slamming the man to the ground. He took the hunter's weapon and kept moving. The colony burned behind him, homes destroyed. People running in every direction, but Raynor had one mission: get Lyra and the kids to safety. At the edge of the colony, Lyra reached the bunker and pulled open the old steel door. She pushed the children inside, but before she could follow, a figure grabbed her arm. She screamed, struggling, but the bounty hunter slammed her against the wall. Where's the core? He growled, his red eye glowing. I don't have it. Lyra shouted, you're too late. The hunter raised his blade. Then you die instead. Suddenly, a shot rang out, and the hunter dropped. Raynor stood behind him, smoking rifle in hand. He ran to Lyra, helping her up. You okay? Lyra nodded, shaken but alive. They entered the bunker and locked the door behind them. Inside, the children cried, but Lyra hugged them close. It's all right, she whispered. We're safe for now. Raynor placed the memory core into the bunker system again. A holographic shield activated, cloaking the bunker from outside scans. We only have a few hours, he said. They'll find a way in eventually. Lyra looked at him, her face pale. Why are they doing this? Raynor knelt beside the children, who clung to him now like a father. Because this, he said. Pointing to the core isn't just tech. It's proof. Proof of what? That the war never needed to happen, Rayner said. That people on both sides wanted peace, but someone buried it. He stood up, breathing hard. If this gets out, it could expose the ones who profited from the war. The real monsters? Lyra's eyes widened. You mean the generals? Some, Rayner said. Maybe even more. A soft sound echoed through the wall's metal scraping. They're cutting through, Rayner said, checking his weapon. The kids held each other, frightened. Lyra moved to their side, whispering. Calming words, Rayner turned to her. If I don't make it, take the core and run to the mountains. There's an old beacon tower. Send the signal. Lyra stood up, her voice strong. No, we stay together. Rayner looked at her for a moment, then nodded. All right, he said. Then we fight together. Outside, the Crimson Vultures prepared for their final push. Inside, a family once strangers prepared to defend more than just themselves. They were defending truth, memory, and the last chance at peace, and far above the planet. A ship moved silently through the stars. A voice on the comm said, Target located, deploying reinforcements. The war wasn't over, not yet, but tonight. In a small forgotten colony, something greater than war had begun. The ship broke through the clouds at dawn. Its silver hull gleamed in the pale morning light. Rayner gripped the controls tightly as the engines roared beneath him. Beside him sat Lyra, her eyes locked on the horizon. Behind them, the children slept. Wrapped in old blankets, too exhausted to be afraid. Outpost 47 had fallen. The Crimson Vultures swarmed in after Rayner and Lyra escaped through the hidden tunnel below the bunker. But they had left the attackers with nothing. The memory core was still with them, safely stored in a sealed compartment on the ship. Rayner glanced at Lyra. You still have the coordinates from the device? She nodded. Yes. My husband encoded them in my neural link. Only I can access them. Rayner raised an eyebrow. Smart man. Too smart. She whispered, that's what got him killed. They flew in silence for a while, crossing empty skies and broken landscapes. Then, stars opened before them as the ship entered deep space. Lyra activated the memory core again. And a new map appeared, glowing softly in the dark cockpit. At the center of the map was a point with no name, just a symbol, a circle of light. Hidden inside a cluster of dead stars? That's it, she said. That's where he told me to go if everything collapsed. Rayner studied the location. That region is off the charts, blacklisted during the war. No one goes there. Exactly, Lyra said. Which means it's still untouched. It took them 3 days to reach the outer rim of the dead star cluster. The journey was silent, heavy with unspoken thoughts. Rayner taught the children how to check the ship's systems, and they began calling him captain like it was natural. He didn't correct them. Lyra watched from a distance, her heart aching at the small moments of peace. Finally, they approached the edge of the hidden coordinates. The stars here were dark, cold, and lifeless. The ship's sensors glitched, showing static and strange distortions. Rayner frowned. Something's jamming us. Wait, Lyra said, closing her eyes. Let me try something. She placed her hand on the memory core, and her eyes flickered with blue light. A hum filled the ship as the map adjusted, revealing a secret path, an invisible corridor hidden between the stars. Rayner whistled softly. Well, I'll be damned. Tarek built this himself, Lyra whispered. He wanted us to find it. But only when it was safe. The ship passed through the corridor, and suddenly, everything changed. A bright planet appeared ahead, hidden in a pocket of space. No one could detect. Lush forests covered its surface. Glowing rivers cut through the valleys, and strange silver towers rose from the ground like ancient guardians. Rayner stared in shock. It's beautiful. It's called Lyra said, tears forming in her eyes. It was meant to be a sanctuary for both our kinds. They landed near one of the towers, where an old docking bay opened automatically. It was like the planet had been waiting for them as they stepped outside. Warm wind touched their faces, and the air smelled of wildflowers and metal. The children ran ahead, laughing for the first time in days. Inside the tower, Rainer and Lyra found rooms filled with technology, records, and messages left behind. One of them played automatically. A hologram of Tarek appeared, his voice calm and proud. "To those who arrive here, I welcome you to Shura. This place was built for peace, not war. If you hold the memory core, you hold proof of betrayal, lies, and lost hope. But you also hold the key to rebuilding what we destroyed." Rainer looked around, amazed. They built this in secret during a war. He said, "Yes," Lyra said, "because they believed the war would end, and peace would need a home." Suddenly, the tower lights dimmed, and an alarm began to blink. Rainer checked the console. A ship just entered orbit. Lyra's face tightened. "Can they find us here?" "They followed our jump trail," Rainer said, even cloaked. "We left a mark." The children ran to them, frightened. Rainer put a hand on the boy's shoulder. "It's okay, we're not running this time." He looked at Lyra. "This place. It has defenses, doesn't it?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, but we'll need to activate them manually." Rainer grinned slightly. "Let's give our guests a warm welcome." As they moved deeper into the tower, lights lit up before them, guiding their steps. Old systems hummed back to life, as if awakening from a long dream. Outside, in the dark of space, a shadowy warship approached, weapons charged and ready. But below, on a forgotten planet filled with hope, something new was rising. Not just a fight for survival. A fight for truth, for peace, and for the children watching two worlds collide. And as the winds of Shura blew across the silver towers, Lyra whispered, "This is what he died for. And I won't let them destroy it." The silver towers of Shura pulsed with light as ancient systems woke up one by one inside the command room. Rainer studied the controls while Lyra stood beside him. Her eyes scanned the holographic display as defensive shields began to form around the valley. The children sat in a corner, watching, still too young to understand war, but old enough to feel danger. "They're close," Rainer said, pointing at a red dot blinking near the planet's orbit. "One enemy ship, maybe more hiding behind it." Lyra touched a panel, and a map opened, showing old security channels. "We can't let them land," she said. "If they reach the surface, they'll destroy everything." Rainer looked at her, serious and calm. "We'll hold them off, but we can't do it alone." Just then, a voice came through the tower's intercom. It was rough, familiar, and full of power. "Well, I see you made it to Shura," the voice said. "Didn't think you'd beat me here." Rainer froze. He knew that voice. It belonged to General Mace Farron, once his commanding officer, a decorated war hero and a man Rainer thought was long dead. "Mace?" he said slowly. "How are you alive?" The voice chuckled, low and cold. "Death is just a rumor. Elias, you should know that by now." Rainer's eyes darkened. "You betrayed us." "No," Mace said. "I built something bigger than war. I found this planet long before you, and I waited for someone to lead me back to it." Rainer looked at Lyra, then at the children. "You used us," he said. "I followed the tracker hidden in the core." Mace admitted, "And now, thanks to you, I have what I want." Lyra slammed her hand on the console. "Cutting the signal, he's the one who funded the bounty hunters," she said. He knew what this planet meant. Rainer's face was grim. "He's not just after tech. He wants to erase the truth." Suddenly, a soft beeping started on the console. Someone was entering the tower through the lower bay. "We locked the door," Rainer said, confused. "There's a code override," Lyra whispered. Only someone from inside could do that. They rushed down the narrow hall, weapons ready. When they reached the lower level, a hatch was open. And someone was standing in the shadows. It was Holt, the traitor from the colony, the one who warned Raynor weeks ago. You? Raynor said. Shocked, Holt raised his hands. I didn't come to hurt you, Key said. But I had to let him in. Lyra stepped forward. Why? We trusted you. Holt's eyes flickered with guilt. I didn't have a choice, he said. He has my daughter. She's been missing for years, and now I know where she is. Raynor lowered his weapon, breathing hard. So you've sold us for a promise. I gave you time, Holt said. I slowed them down, but they're coming fast. Lyra's voice was cold. You doomed this place. Holt took a small device from his pocket and handed it to Raynor. This is the real map, he said, not the one you've been using. Why give it to us now? Because, Holt said, I realized my daughter wouldn't want peace bought with betrayal. Raynor took the device and looked at it. It showed a hidden part of the Tauran underground vault, marked with the same star symbol from the memory core. That vault holds the master code, Lyra whispered. It can activate the full defense grid and send a message to every major system in the galaxy. A message of truth, Raynor said, of what really happened. Suddenly, gunfire echoed from above. The enemy had landed, and they were breaking in. Raynor looked at Holt. Go find your daughter and disappear. Holt nodded and ran into the tunnels. Raynor turned to Lyra. We go to the vault, she nodded, grabbing the children's hands together. They moved through the glowing halls as the tower shook from impacts above. In the vault, a glass console stood in the center, untouched for years. Lyra stepped forward, placing her hand on the reader. The system scanned her and lit up. Welcome. Lyra of Tariq, it said. Do you wish to release the Archive of Peace? She looked at Raynor, who nodded. Yes, she said. Do it now. The tower pulsed with blue light. And a signal burst into the sky. A wave of truth, data, and hidden files spread through the stars. Every system, every station, every government would now know the truth of the war from above. Mace's voice returned, angrier than before. You've made a mistake. Elias, Raynor smirked. No, you did. The tower's defenses roared to life. Cannons firing into the sky, striking Mace's ship. Explosions lit the night as the enemy vessel was hit, breaking apart. Raynor held Lyra's hand as the ground shook. We did it, he said. We told the truth, but far beyond the stars. Other eyes were watching, and peace was only the beginning of a new battle. The stars were quiet after the storm. Mace Varen's ship had been torn apart in the sky, its wreckage drifting through Shura's orbit like broken bones. Smoke still rose from the trees where small fighter drones had fallen, but inside the tower there was calm. Raynor stood beside Lyra in the vault chamber. The master console had gone dark. Its message already sent. The truth was now out. Across the galaxy, impossible to take back, Lyra held her children close, her face pale, but peaceful. They'll come for us again, she whispered. Raynor nodded. Yes, but not as hunters. They'll come as judges. The children looked up at them, wide-eyed, too young to understand war and peace, but old enough to know when something important had ended. Raynor knelt beside them, resting his hand on the boy's shoulder. You? We're very brave, he said. The boy smiled weakly. Like you, Captain. Raynor gave a small smile. You're stronger than me. Outside the tower, the wind of Shura carried the smell of fire, but also something new, flowers blooming again, vines growing along metal walls. The planet was alive, awakened, just like the truth they had set free. Later that day, a small ship landed near the tower. It was a diplomatic cruiser, not from the military, but from the Peace Council. A woman in silver robes stepped out, guarded but calm. "I am Envoy Rallin," she said. "We received the signal. And the council has reviewed your message." Raynar nodded, standing between Lyra and the envoy. "We only showed the truth," he said. Rallin looked at Lyra, her expression unreadable. Shura was meant to be neutral ground. A symbol, not a weapon. "It still is," Lyra said. Her voice steady, but someone tried to bury it. The envoy looked around the tower, the tech, the children, and now? She asked, "What do you want from us?" Raynar stepped forward. "Not protection," he said. "Not war. We want this place to stand, as it was meant to. A place for both our peoples to begin again." There was a long pause. Then the envoy finally spoke. "Your story has already changed minds," she said, "but it will take time. There are still those who fear unity. Then let them come and see this with their own eyes." Lyra replied, "Let them meet my children. Let them see peace is not a dream." The envoy gave a small nod and returned to her ship. The council would not destroy Shira, at least not yet. The first seed of something new had been planted. Days passed, repairs began. And Raynar helped rebuild the colony spaceport near the tower. He trained the older children in defense, but also taught them how to garden, how to cook, how to live. Without fear, one night, as the moons of Shura hung low in the sky, Raynar sat beside a small campfire with Lyra. The children were asleep nearby, their soft breaths like music under the stars. "You never gave me an answer," Lyra said, her voice soft. "About what?" "About my proposal," she smiled, just slightly. Raynar chuckled, looking down at the fire. "Strange way to start a family," he said. "I know," she whispered. "But not a bad one." Raynar looked at her, truly looked at her. Not as an alien, not as a widow, but as someone who had fought beside him, trusted him, saved him in ways he didn't even understand. "I've never had a home before," he said. "Maybe this is what it feels like." Lyra leaned her head on his shoulder. "I don't want to survive anymore," she said. "I want to live," he took her hand gently. "Then, let's live," he whispered, far above them. Stars moved slowly across the sky. The galaxy had not changed overnight, but something important had. A war hero and an alien widow. Two children born from a fallen world and a planet no one believed existed. They had all become part of something greater. Not enemies, not strangers, but a new beginning. And as the wind of Shura blew across the silver towers, one life ended, and another quietly began.